at that flag or, something like that. But yeah, that is just another idiosyncrasy that we have encountered. Nothing we can do about it. If it is actually a valid order, we just, we might force it to production or whatever. Order request. It tells us that it's an order request document. This is technically called a cXML order request. Then we get into the header information. So this is going to be everything except the product information. So order date, this is the date it was ordered. ISO timestamp. Well, so this one, I believe it should be the same as the one above, which it is. Yeah, except there's a space in here and there isn't in here, as you can see, little odd variances between the two. But yeah, we get an order date, order ID. This is the PO number. Also, an order request is known as a purchase order. So it's saying, I want this stuff. So in NEB's system and in University of Wisconsin system, anything to do with this PO and this order request has to have this MSN 032564 number, because that's how they track everything. If there's an issue in transmission, if there's anything, they say, hey, did you get PO number, whatever. So we would just search and we'd find that PO. Like, for example, we built this quick search. So let's say that I need this purchase order and I want to find it really quickly. You can go into the logs, and this is just searching the portal logs table. And I just do order requests, and it'll come up with just this exact result eventually, because NEB has a lot of activity. Yeah, so and there's two, because there's what we get from University of Wisconsin and then what we push to NEB. So that's right. There's actually two entries. This is the pre-transform. This is the post-transform.
How much does the order request change on the cXML from the different procurement systems, if at all?
It does, absolutely.
Okay.
All the time. It's the syntax is going to be similar. Like, they'll all have header credentials. What is going to change is elements within here. A lot of what NEB pays us to do is massage data. When we had our big go live with NEB UK a couple weeks ago, we made so many customizations because they want, this is the actual street. This is the delivered to person, but this might be this should actually go into a contact role. And then this second delivered to line is, I don't even know what that is, like a building number or a floor number or something. They'll ask us to move those around.
Okay. So are those differences? So let's just call this procurement system number 1. Is that pretty consistent for procurement system number 1 to have that same setup across our different suppliers? No. So it actually, from the suppliers, even if they have the same procurement system, this can be a little bit different.
Correct. And so Jagger is one of the better ones. They can adjust mapping, but most of them will not. Now, Jagger, as part of the kickoff calls, will say, hey, here's a questionnaire. They'll ask, how many delivered to lines can you support? How many street lines can you support? Because NEB actually is 35 characters per line, up to 3 lines total. So this would be fine. But if they added a 4th line, can't be handled by NEB. So we have to massage it. We have to move it around. We have to combine lines, things like that.
Okay. And this is basically what Eric's life has been, right? He's been dealing with all this stuff.
Yep.
I mean, because I don't see too much of this, so I assume somebody's doing it. So who would it be?
Yeah. Yep.
Got you.
Yeah. This is the world that Eric and I live in.
Yep. Totally understand.
So, but yeah. Order request. So type, we typically only support type equals new. There are other variants, and I'll explain why we don't handle them. So there's a type update, which drives us crazy. Now, a type update means it's a change in the purchase order. The problem is, let's say we get a purchase order today at 11:19, and then it goes out via email, and then basically someone says, hey, you know what? I see an order. I'm going to pack it. I'm going to ship it out. And within an hour, it's in a box with a UPS label. Okay. So then let's say at 4 o'clock this afternoon, after maybe even UPS has picked up the box, they send a type equals update saying, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to revise the PO to make the quantity of one line, which we'll get to, 7 instead of 8. So reducing it. The reason we don't handle that is because no one wants to consume that order change. It has to be called in or emailed, because just because there's a change from the procurement system doesn't mean the supplier can do anything. That box has already left their warehouse by the time the change came in. They'd have to reroute it. It's an exception process. So we typically look for type equals new only. We just don't get enough requests for update. Another one is delete, which is, I want to cancel this order. Same problem. We could technically accept it, but we don't, because no one wants to get an electronic cancellation, because what if they've already shipped the item?
Okay, so we literally sent back a rejection on that.
So
needs a response.
We should. I forget what actually happens. I don't remember. We should. I just think that they're very uncommon to begin with. But oh yeah, we get a blank return. Yeah. So basically, it won't show as acknowledged. Yeah, it won't do anything. Basically, it should return a 401 error saying no, we do not accept order changes or whatever. I think that would be a great thing to build out. It doesn't happen that often where we've done that. So I think that's a good thing to definitely put on the roadmap, is just like across the board reject them, because we do have problems where like they come in and then we don't return a response and like, oh, well, did you get the order? No, because it's an update and we don't accept those. But not all systems support that. But yeah, just with the volume that we do, we've seen it more often than we used to, but still not very common. Like in Ariba, where we actually get to do the configuration for all of this, like where do you want new orders, where do you want change orders, where do you want cancellations, we route those as via email or online, so they don't come to us via cXML.
All right.
Then order total. So this is the total of all the items way down at the bottom down here, which we'll get into. This is going to have currency in there. So with our newer international clients, that is something that we do look at. This is the actual order total. Ship to. This is one of the bigger blocks. So this has an address element, and then there's a name. This is usually the organization's name. We can parse it, and depending on what system they have, we may either drop it, we may pass it to them. But if you remember the NEB example where they only support 3 address lines, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So they wouldn't even care about this because they already know it's for University of Wisconsin based on the cXML credentials, because we also send them cXML to get it into their SAP system. Another thing actually to call out, address IDs. I know that I don't think we've done that. Actually, Matthew, you've worked on this a little. So that address ID that we pass to Frontline into BigCommerce that matters so much to them when it hits their Sage ERP, that is where that comes from. Okay. And what that represents is the numeric value for this particular address. So for this 1111 Highland Ave, Madison, Wisconsin, 53705, that's what this MSN 1485 represents.
Back in their procurement system. So if they type in MSN 1485, they'll know it's University of Wisconsin over at Highland Ave.
Correct.
Okay,
So
cool.
some of our suppliers do mapping, like Frontline, like NEB. Others will just take it as it's sent in because they don't want to maintain a translation table or an address map table or whatever. It's just completely subjective and what the client wants to do.
Okay. I have a question on the ship to, because I see the ship to, bill to. I see where this is going. Do we ever have a ship from on here?
Not on a PO, because remember, this is the purchase order coming from the organization. There is a ship from on an invoice that we send back, because that's saying I'm, New England Biolabs and I'm shipping this. Where is it shipping from? Our location in Cambridge, Massachusetts or something.
All right.
Because the determination of the ship from would be the supplier, not the buyer.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so that's address. Then very often though, where there will be an email, a ship to email, we do look at that. That's our primary identifier for the user if we trigger any notifications. We don't for NEB, but for a lot of our managed punch-out customers, we look at that field. If we send an email confirmation that just echoes out ship to, bill to items, so they know that we got the order and they don't have to check their procurement system. Phone. So these are broken out because they're international. They can be international. Again, you're going to see a little variation. This ISO country code, this is the ISO, usually the two-letter abbreviation. So that should be US. We don't get Senate from Jagger. Granted, it's University of Wisconsin. They don't have any international locations, obviously, but just an FYI, that this is going to be your country code. This is the area code. This is the actual number. So it can handle any country that's out there. Also, this says work. So there could be others in here. This could delineate cell phone. I don't know why, but it just defines what it is. Usually there's only one, but I think I have seen it where there are multiple within this element. And then still have fax numbers. There's a place for it. It's blank, but there's a place to put that in there. I don't know what that would be used for. Maybe like a order confirmation that would be faxed, but yeah. So that's the ship to. Bill to. So bill to is pretty much the same, except it's where the bills should go, where an invoice should be sent, who to contact if there's a question like, hey, we sent you an invoice, you didn't pay it. That's where this would happen. A lot of our customers ignore that because they already have a relationship with, say, University of Wisconsin, and they have something in their ERP that says, if I have a problem with an invoice, contact, University of Wisconsin, Madison accounts payable. But yeah, exact same thing. It's got address IDs, it's got names, it's got postal address, delivered to, all this stuff. And notice it's different. That's why there's two elements. A lot of these universities have central billing, so all the bills go to one person, but the items ship to another, because it could be a researcher that's buying this this item, but just the procurement team has to actually pay it. So